Yeah.
Let's actually, before we leave Steph Curry, let's talk about a different topic with Steph Curry. And that is immediately after he did his drop, 29.74, very successful. Under Armour comes out with a surprise drop of a shoe. It's the shoe he wore the night he broke the NBA 3-point scoring record. But they basically created the pixel version of it for Decentraland and Sandbox. And there's one other one. I have to think about what it is. But basically 3 metaverse places. So one NFT, and you get to use it in these 3 different metaverses for this virtual shoe. Any thoughts on that?
I think it goes to what we were just talking about, right? Like they're being thoughtful about how to make that user experience seamless for the end user. And also it's smart because who knows which metaverse is going to win, or if we're always just going to have different ones. And someone needs to figure out this notion of an avatar or a likeness in the metaverse that is made up of NFTs, whether the core avatar is an NFT or they have NFT clothes or whatnot. I think that is something that's going to be consistent across, at least it seems that way. And having a method where I can jump from Sandbox to Crypto Voxels, or carry that stuff with me, I think is going to matter to a lot of folks. Again, it's going to depend how those metaverses evolve, but that feels like a smart move on Under Armour's side.
Yeah, again, on brand. I think it really makes sense. It was a fairly low risk drop. I mean, I think the higher risk is actually the functionality, make sure it is actually usable across those metaverses with all that implies going forward with API connections. And then also being able to add those to an avatar, and be able to integrate that. But still on brand, takes advantage of celebrity in a recent event. And interestingly enough, we've had Nike with the acquisition of Artifact, RTFKT. We've had Adidas with the Adidas Originals drop, and now we have Under Armour, all within 10 days. Seems like it's really heating up, and sports might be leading the way.
Yeah. And we're in sort of we're in this weird, everything is, the coins are we're dipping and then flat, and then everyone's talking about bear markets or whatever. And then NFTs have been doing sort of a little bit of weirdness too. So this feels like I think it's good for the space to have some success projects like this. And I think it's what's allowing a lot of, I think this is a total assumption on my part, but I think a lot of new folks are jumping into the space based on these big opportunities they're hearing about. I'd be curious to know how many of the people that, even if they didn't get if they missed the Adidas drop, did they go through the process of getting money in their wallet and now they're in it and they're looking at other NFTs? How many new users did this stuff bring on board?
I think it's critical. We talk about Coinbase really helping bring the masses in because they have an easy onboarding to crypto. There's some other players who are definitely doing that and playing a role there as well. But I think these drops by big brands around sports, these other cultural touchstones, really important for expanding the market. And I think you're going to see just a lot of different behavior. And so if you're actually new to the space and you're watching today just to learn more about it, go to nftorious.com. We cover all these types of things. We try to give people a perspective on what's happening and how this market is evolving. It's rapidly. But I could see that if we don't have that new blood, we might be heading towards an era of stagnation because there's so many people who have been in the market for a year who are collectors, but are on the investor side of collecting. And there's this dominant thesis that only blue chips are going to survive. And so if you're they want to be in the right PFPs, and then 99% are going to fail and all these other types of things. And most of those people are not in the art market very much. On the NFT art, they're really around the project market. So I think bringing these new people in who I think will be collectors first and investors second really could rejuvenate the industry and drive a lot more interesting activity.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think we're going to see these waves of the investors and then the collectors and then the utility stuff. Like we're starting to see more of the utility stuff. We've talked a lot about that in other shows, but I think the more that stuff starts to get developed, there's going to be some straight up utility use cases that make this so much better than what exists otherwise. That yeah, it'll be really interesting, I think, to see how some of these things impact the space.